What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. Today, we got a VOD review Setsuko. Look at him, 1854 LP. He surpassed Soju, surpassed everybody else, 200 LP above Dish Soap. And look at this graph, man. Was about 1350 LP 3 days ago, and just like a rocket, 400 LP in just a few days. I mean, this last 20 is disgusting as well. 2.5 average placement. So I thought, let's watch some Setsuko, rank 1 North America, show how he plays TFT. And we also have a really cool start. This is the Artifact Anvil start. So this is going to be a very high cap lobby in general. This is going to be people who are playing, you know, the extendo range Nocturne, people with like Mana Zane on crazy AP carries. This is going to be like Trenchcoat on AD carries, which we will talk about all of that kind of stuff as we get further into the VOD, depending on which line Setsuko ends up playing this game. So we're starting off with the Enforcer opener here. A lot of stuff to keep open in this spot. I do think you do want to hold on to the Violet a bit more, just in case. Ooh, actually no, wow, okay, like two immediate takeaways from Setsuko. One, he doesn't hold the Violet here, which has really good synergy with the Suspicious Trenchcoat. And two, he now pops his Anvil here and he gets Suspicious Trenchcoat. So Trenchcoat, and it looks like Setsuko immediately is like, I'm going to take Trenchcoat in this spot, which I think it does make a lot of sense. Suspicious Trenchcoat, I do think, is on average the strongest artifact in the game. It's really just been optimized to a point, especially with the synergies. People have found out items that synergize really well with Trenchcoat. People have just realized that you can you can do some crazy stuff with Trenchcoat, which I'm sure we'll talk about this game. So first augment here, reroll, transfer, crafted, crafting, and Pandora's items. I mean, crafting doesn't seem very good in our spot. Reroll transfer looks like he is going to reroll this immediately. He's not really interested in playing the Violet reroll, which means that he is interested in playing other stuff here. Pandora's items, actually an interesting idea here. We'll see if that's what Setsuko ends up wanting to go for. Probably, I don't know how good Trenchcoat trolling is. It doesn't sound very good, but he is looking at his Suspicious Trenchcoat here. Hits support mining. Wow. I mean, this will be a really big test, actually. Does Setsuko prefer support mining over this augment? Because, I mean, support mining, quite solid. Getting a free support item is not bad at all. It's not an anvil anymore. It's just a support item. But, I mean, still, support item is support item. But Pandora's items, yeah, I think this actually does make the most sense here. And now we can kind of talk about Suspicious Trenchcoat and like what you generally want to go for with Suspicious Trenchcoat. So I think this is actually a good spot where we can take a peek at the stats. So let's go to Explore here. We're very likely to be playing for Embessa here. And then let's look just Suspicious Trenchcoat onto the Embessa here, and then look at items here. There's 2 items whenever you're building Suspicious Trenchcoat, besides all the other Ornn items that are obviously really good. Death Defiance, fantastic. But there are 2 items that really stand out in the stats when you build Trenchcoat, which Edge of Night and Sterak's Gauge. No matter what unit you put these on, I put them on Embessa because that's representative of what we might likely play this game. Edge of Night and Sterak's Gauge. And a lot of people ask, like, okay, what is it about these 2 items? Like, why do these items do so well with Suspicious Trenchcoat? Well, let's just read Suspicious Trenchcoat real quick. Once per combat, 50% HP. The holder splits into 3 copies, each with 30% of their max HP. The crucial thing to pay attention to here is that Suspicious Trenchcoat procs at 50% HP. Now let's look at some other items. I think a lot of people say, why don't you want like BT on like a Trenchcoat unit? The thing is, BT procs at 40% HP. So by the time BT is procced, Trenchcoat has already procced. And then you look at these 2 items that are really good. Edge of Night and Sterak's. Both of these proc at 60% HP. So the idea is Edge of Night and Sterak's Gauge double proc with Trenchcoat. Edge of Night, when the unit is getting dropped low, is going to proc, and then Trenchcoat is going to proc after that, split into 3 copies, and those 3 copies have 30% of the main one's HP, but the difference is that the copies still have like 100% of their HP. It's not like they start at 30%, which would maybe be a reasonable way to balance Trenchcoat. Maybe they'll nerf it by making it just start at 30% out of 100% instead of 100 with 30% HP. But you can see here Setsuko, immediate Edge of Night Slam, and he's looking for the Sterak's here right now. I think this is just genius from Setsuko to take Pandora's and use it to force the items that synergize with Trenchcoat. And you can see the value here. Look at this. The Vi is getting Edge of Night proc, Trenchcoat is procking, and then the 3 Vi copies that are she splits into are also procking Trenchcoat here, which is, or are procking Edge of Night here, which is just, it's insane value. So Setsuko playing a pretty weak board, but still actually ended up winning that last fight with just the Vi here. And if we end up ever finding something like a Vi 2, our spot is going to look so good. I feel like Setsuko's so good at this kind of stuff about just, grind, what do they call it? Squeezing water from a stone. boards like this that are just not that strong, that most people would lose a ton of HP on. He's built the perfect items of this Violet here, so look at this. He almost kills 3 there versus this guy who is level 5 here. So just great stuff from Setsuko. He can, if he wants to, get a sword off Carousel here. It's a bit tough in his spot, actually, because he won some fights earlier. So he's just going to pick up a high-cost unit here. Maybe also just to deny, actually, like the way that he's hovering this Nocturne player, because there's a few Nocturne players in this lobby, actually. One with one with Trenchcoat, or not with Trenchcoat, one with Fishbones, and one with Rapid Fire. So he wants to deny those players as much as possible, essentially. And he's still just, at this point, just trying to dig for a Sterax. I think this is the most important thing, is that he cares about Sterax. Ooh, it's also an interesting call from Setsuko just to make the Irelia too, to play his board a little stronger. Also, something really, really important that Setsuko is doing here is he is solo frontlining his Violet here. I just actually had a game where I lost because I was not solo frontlining my Violet. When you have Trenchcoat, you basically always want to be solo frontlining this unit just so that they get that proc off early. You're buying so much time for your team with the proc of the Edge of Night and the Sterax. If you don't solo frontliner, you're losing just a lot of kind of like free frontline that you get by dropping aggro and doing stuff. So you can see every single round solo frontline, and now he has the Violet too. So we are just gonna watch this Violet pop off. But yeah, I mean, Setsuko, I think I perused some of his VODs, and I think this is a really instructive VOD of just Setsuko understanding how to play TFT once we're later in a patch. I think when you're early on in a patch, people identifying like which lines are broken, it's like really, really important, right? Knowing like, is this line good? Is this line bad? But once you get later into the patch, what ends up being really important is just playing the lines really, really, really well and understanding all of the ins and outs. And that's what Setsuko does so well. He knows just what the broken things are. That's what the best CFT players do. They understand what's a high roll and what's a low roll. So Setsuko realizing like, okay, I can greed for these perfect items, essentially. I can make Sunfire Cape here because it's a fantastic item. I'm not going to make either of these because I want to greed for items that are probably going to go into Corki down the line, maybe like a Last Whisper, maybe like an IE down the line. And he can greed for everything that actually makes sense in his spot. Also, I just love the random Ezreal on the board for extra damage, right? He has 0 traits on the board, but he's gonna be the most damage that you can get out of just a random unit here. Just little stuff like that Setsuko does so, and the positioning thing as well. The solo frontlining Trenchcoat. I mean, I wish I had VOD reviewed this game before I played my most recent game that I did play on ladder, because like just the solo frontline Trenchcoat with these items tech is going to give Setsuko just so much value across the course of this game. Power up Mentorship Kingslayer here. I mean, silver with the idea of being silver into power up actually sounds really, really good. Really high odds of actually being silver, gold, and then we get a prismatic, which is going to be, you know, from gold to prismatic is so much better. Mentorship's also not bad, but I think, yeah, the power up actually makes perfect sense here. We also don't actually need that much combat strength right now. Our board's already pretty good with this Vi here, so like, I don't think Setsuko really minds playing down an augment for a few rounds. But yeah, look at this. We're potentially getting Rebel in. Setsuko just always trying to figure out, okay, what is strongest board in this spot? Is it Trist? Is it Rebel? I imagine it is Trist here just because she's going to buff up the rest of the board, but he's going to call it out as Rebel at this point because we have an Irelia too. I mean, Setsuko clearly had a lot of internal, I don't know, drama trying to figure out what was good there. Also, what is this spot from this player? They have an Ezreal 2 with the Duplicator augment, and they have Fishbones as well. They're going to play Fishbones Ezreal, or maybe, I mean, I have to imagine that they're just item holding for Nocturne, but Nocturne is so contested this lobby that maybe they are actually going to play Fishbones Ezreal. But okay. Chilling on this board for now, holding on to a lot of these Rebel units. I can't imagine that we would actually ever play Rebel from this spot. And yeah, immediately he ends up actually selling those. Another really good call from Setsuko just to say, I'm never actually playing Rebel this game. I don't have the items for it. I don't have the augments for it. So why even hold on to this Ezreal? Only, we're going to 4-2 it, most likely with the amount of econ that we have here. So that Ezreal is going to be on my board for... That Ezreal is going to be on my bench for 4 rounds. The only reason to hold Ezreal is if I want to make an Ezreal 2. And even if I make Ezreal 2, am I that happy about it? I'm spending gold to make Ezreal 2 when he's coming out, especially like if we hit Ezreal 2 next round, you have that Ezreal for 3 rounds. Is it even worth it? Not really. There's Mbessa on Carousel. Setsuko would really like to pick that up. Vi is also another fantastic holder of these items. So now we have the Vi and the Violet. We also, do we still have 4 Pit Fighter? I think he sold the GP, so we don't have that as our option anymore, which is a bit sad. Though we also get a Garen here is fantastic. We can fit that onto the board for sure. Though actually holding all this stuff, we're a little bit poor here. And yeah, he is going to move the Sunfire over, just play the Garen on this board, get out of Rebel, and just play good units. 3 Pit Fighter. Feels a bit bad that we can't fit 4 because we don't have it, but, you know, still fine. And he can also hold on, just continue to keep this sword onto the Ezreal on bench just because he wants to make sure he can hold that for IELW being the Corki setup that we are really looking for. We're finally finding somebody pretty strong. This Loris 2 with Sunfire and Unending Despair is actually just farming our board here. So I think we might finally lose a fight, though. The Violet copy, I mean, you can see why this item combination is so good, because just that copy of Violets, that copy, that was one of the 3 Violets that our Violet split into. She did so much work. She almost farmed that entire board. And so many people, I think, are like, well, don't you need healing onto these units? You get so much survivability from Edge of Night and the Titan's Resolve is not what this item is called. Sterax Cage. I kept looking at being like Titans. You get so much tanginess out of Edge of Night and Sterax that like you don't need the healing from something like a BT, something like a Gunblade. You're very, very happy just lasting a really long time. Because what does healing do? It makes your unit last longer. What does Edge of Night do? What does Sterax do? It makes your unit last longer. And you know, lasting longer is something that everybody is interested in, especially in teamfight tactics. So for Pit Fighter here in this spot, gonna hold on to another sword actually. His idea being, like, one of these swords is going to be a Corki item. The other sword is just going to be like a secondary item that's going to go on to Vi or something like that. We really do want to pick up. Yeah, he made the BT last second there, which I think is quite reasonable. Onto something like the Vi. These items, once again, ideally will go onto Mbessa, but these other items, this BT can actually just stay on Vi and we can play this version of the comp. So I think this makes perfect sense. But all right, our roll down's coming up soon. The Emissary board, which is, I haven't really talked about it, but that is the idea that we're playing for this game. This 4 Emissary board caps incredibly high. Mbessa is a fantastic user of this Trenchcoat. That's the board that we're aiming for, and there are a few different variations of it. You can play stuff like Swain GP, so I'm actually down to bring it down to 1x speed for his roll down here. Last Augment as well, Golden Egg, Piercing Lotus, Glorious Evolution. Don't really love any of these. I guess worst case, you could take Piercing Lotus here. It's at least some crit chance, and you already have the Armor Shred, which is the reason why you're not happy with it. But I don't think we're taking, I mean, we're probably not taking a Change of Fate for the Mel. So yeah, I think, yeah, we do end up just taking Piercing Lotus here. Makes sense. All right, let's look at the roll down as well, because we don't have that much gold, but I do think a 4-2 is definitely in order. There is Anomaly. No, nothing in Planner as well. Setsuko just, you know, has confidence in his ability to pick up the right units here. Gonna sell off a lot of this stuff. Doesn't actually hold on to Nami pair here because he knows it's gonna be a bit too hard to get to there. We're actually still a little far off. We hit Garen too, which is really nice. Though we're gonna have to sell something kind of important to get there. We do end up making the Garen too, and he's considering actually getting off this as well, getting into the Jinx as the item holder. This is such a cool roll though, actually, because he hit the Garen too, but he actually missed on a lot of other stuff that you would be really excited about in this spot, right? He doesn't have the Mbessa, he doesn't even have Tristana. A nice flex roll down from Setsuko. I think seeing that Jinx as the item holder here is actually really crucial in this spot, because this is going to do so much better than the Draven. He fits 3 Rebel in. I mean, this is why Setsuko is rank 1, because in so many spots where other people would have just a horrible board here because they missed, Setsuko has a serviceable board. And I'm not saying that he's going to sit on this board the whole game and we're going to, you know, play this forever and win out, but he just has to play this board for now. And wow, another really interesting call from Setsuko to say, you know what? I'm GP paired at this point. I need to actually roll down, and so I'm going to sell the Jinx here, and I'd rather item hold the GP here. And I have decent odds, if I sell the Jinx, of actually hitting a 2-star GP here, and he does. He hits the GP too and gets rewarded for it. So, I mean, just beautiful 4-2 and 4-3. I think so many people actually would be in much worse spot here, not holding onto that Jinx for the 1 round, and then not potentially selling that Jinx to hold onto the GP pair and end up hitting GP2. There is a Vi pair on Carousel if we want to hold on to it. And yeah, I think this is a fantastic take here. Still have items on the Violet here. He could also make double IE if he wants to. It'll be interesting to see if he cares about that as a slam here, if he wants to just keep on scrapping. But yeah, I think the roll down is quite reasonable here. At this point, we're going to pivot a lot of our board. We also found the Mbessa, so perfect timing on getting into this. And we have a Vi too, so yeah, let's move the items over to Vi. I mean, just barely we got to this board. I feel like it was so sketchy here. He's thinking about the double IE slam, but ends up not going for it. I mean, I think it's fine, but we have kind of everything you'd ever want. We have the Sunfire, we have the heal cut, in that we have the Last Whisper giving us armor shred. We also have like no gold here to roll for Anomaly here, which is kind of crazy. And we might have to Anomaly the Vi here. We'll see. It's actually kind of tough. Garen Anomaly would be great. I mean, he's looking at maybe power absorption, which is crazy. On GP? The idea being when the clones. Okay, yeah, I think you reroll. Dragon Soul Corki is good. We don't have Corki though. I don't think Avarice Incarnate. Titanic Strikes, Fireball. Calling card. Deep Roots, okay, and he finally, in his last few rolls, actually hits Deep Roots, which is a solid tank anomaly here. Good enough for the Garen, which is what you'd really ideally want, because you know Garen's going to stay on your board. Ideally, this Vi is going to become an Embessa later, but I mean, she might stay Vi the entire game. But once again, still, even though we have the Garen at this point in the game, just solo frontlining the Vi. The other nice thing about solo frontlining her is it gives you good odds of all the copies going in like different directions. You want them all to be CCing like all these different targets, kind of like wreaking havoc on the board. And so I think that's another nice thing about the solo frontline is they'll end up walking up, and sometimes you get to backline. It's just solo frontlining is so good here. But yeah, this is also just our board at this point. I think a lot of people, you tend to play like a GP onto this board and feel pretty good about it. He's Scrap, he's Pit Fighter. But like right now we're just playing this other version of the board here where we have the Vi on the board. We have oh wait, we have the GP. What am I talking about? Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty standard version of the board, actually. It's just we have TF in the slot that Corki would normally go in. Right, sorry. But yeah, this is like a pretty standard version of the board. Corki is a really nice duo carry on this board. He's also another two traits, Artillerist and Scrap, the two that we're missing here. But I mean, we're fine on the GP for now. Who needs Scrap? We're not scrapping an item right now, so we can be quite happy with this. Ended up making Warmogs onto the Garen, which is, I mean, one of the better items we can make. And look at this, 4 streak, 30 gold here. The spot's looking really nice, even though, remember, at 4-2, 4-3, we were rolling it to 0 trying to find our board. But Setsuko, he's stabilized so well. He's played around the GP, who's a really fantastic, item holder when we don't have the Corki. Ooh, this is an interesting idea. Is he actually going to hold on to these GPs? You never know with someone like Setsuko. He might just sell these at the last second and say, F it, like, I don't want to hold on to these guys. But I wouldn't be completely shocked if he did end up actually holding on to them for the potential GP3 out, which is another like a wild idea in this spot. But the Vi's, once again, just buying so much time for this board, this Garen, and yeah, he is going to end up selling the GPs. It's a fun idea, but I think his idea is at the end of the day, like, I can find Corki, I can play around Corki, like, who cares about these GPs, man? It's too much work. He does also have the Vladimir as a potential play on this board. He's Watcher, which is really nice here for the Garen 2 at this point, who has a lot of HP. Sork we already have in with the Nami and the Swain here, so you don't have to worry about that. And there's no way we're playing 4 Sorcerer, but still, I mean, the solo frontline value from this is just so good. We pick up this fight. It's interesting actually that he's holding on to the Nocturne here for the 3 Quick Striker idea, which is kind of crazy that he's holding on. I mean, oh, that's not why he's holding on to it. I mean, I was just thinking, like, why is he holding this Nocturne so long? He's holding Nocturne to deny. He got Nocturne 2 out of Conquer, and his thought is, like, I can use this to deny this guy. He's only holding 4 Nocturnes. Like, he's not hitting Nocturne 3 if I'm holding onto these, especially because that guy was contested. We'll have to check the lobby again to see where everybody's at. That's actually such a nice little optimization there. I wasn't even thinking about it, but just hold on to the Nocturne too. Why not? You can leave this on bench. This is going to Titans the Garen, with the idea being that Titans is just not an amazing item onto Embessa, even though, like, theoretically it's okay on her. Like, the tank stats will actually do us better on the Garen. And yeah, I mean, this guy has 9 Nocturnes. That other guy was holding on to 4. We're holding on to another 3. It's going to be near impossible for them to hit in this spot, right? There's 25 copies in the pool, so possible, but quite hard when there's 12 copies out before even that guy. So actually pretty hilarious here. But yeah, I mean, at this point, we're looking just to push 9, get the Corki in for traits. I mean, the traits are not that valuable here, so if we ever end up finding something like a Victor, we could play that. If we hit like a Rumble, we could play that. Really just because we're not item carrying the Corki right now, the Corki is not that important. But yeah, I mean, so many of these fights, I feel like the solo frontline actually just ends up doing so much work here, which, yeah, I mean, makes so much sense. And also, look at the HP in this lobby, actually. 38 on Setsuko, and then 14 in second place. Actually, just crazy, the HP differential here. But it's just because Setsuko played a solid early game and then just bulldozed the lobby once he hit this Vi 2, which was a really nice pickup for him. And just, playing the flex around, potentially using her as an item carry was really nice. So let's level here, roll. Picking up a lot of Vi's here for the potential Vi 3. Also pick up Jace here, who's going to fit onto the board. Has Rumble. I don't think we really need to care about this Mordekaiser very much. There's Jace pair as well. So it's kind of an interesting idea. He, at the last second, ends up getting Jace out, and he's just playing the Vlad here actually for Watcher, is his read, is that Vlad is actually better than the Corki here, because who really cares about Artillerist on a Trist? Doesn't really do anything. Who cares about Scrap? Doesn't do anything. But actually getting Watcher in for the Garen is the best trait we can get in here. It makes sense. We're still holding on to the Jaces, though, with the possibility. The only thing I wonder, though, is like, I want to know what he does here. Yeah, he makes this call. Okay. Moves items over to Jace, which is really cool as well. So you drop out of Conquer, which feels a little bit bad. And look at this. Look at this. What a nice TFT player Setsuko is. What a beast. If only he was nicer when he was talking. I would recommend you guys go all watch his stream. But he sees the Ambessa 2, pops the items off by building the items onto the Ambessa on board, and then, popping those 2 items off. So he actually gets to save a remover here. And then the second, that he hits that Ambessa, the items are moved over there, which makes perfect sense. And yeah, it's interesting because now Ambessa's our main carry here, but he has actually dropped Conquer in this spot because he has the Jace too. Like, it's a much better AD item holder, and he's just a much better unit than, obviously, the random Swain. Also, quick swaps back and forth. I love this, though, because, like, this comp is a quote-unquote Corki carry comp. He completely skipped Corki this entire game. We never had items on our Corki, and I think it's another thing that so many TFT players actually would be like, I missed on Corki, I got Mork Dogged, I have no one to item carry. But you just play a good game of TFT, play the item carries that make sense, move from GP straight to the Jace. Just a beautiful game from Setsuko. Shows why he's ranked 1, and I don't know. I feel like there's so much you can take away from that. So, hope you guys enjoyed this VOD review. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check my Twitch. All my other links down below. Thank you guys, as always, for watching.